We're going to do a couple of problems where we have multiple intercepts on a single axis, and in some cases both axes. So here I have the problem 9x squared plus 4y squared is equal to 36. And I'm looking for the X intercepts and the Y intercepts. So let me start by finding the X intercepts. So in order to find the X intercepts, I need to find all X values when Y is equal to 0, because when the graph touches the X axis, Y is equal to 0. So let's start with that. Let's put Y is equal to 0. Remember, we're doing X intercepts first. So we plug in 0 for all of our Y values. And that leaves us with 9x squared is equal to 36. And now it's just an algebra problem. Divide both sides by 9. X squared is equal to 4. Now we subtract this to the other side. And now we factor. So x squared. So what would make this? I hope everyone remembers how to find the factors. Let me write out. I'm not going to go over it, but I'm going to write it out real quick just as a refresher in case you are a little bit foggy on it. So we have x squared plus bx plus c is equal to, and this is the form that's factored in. And the way we find a and b is we're looking for two numbers that are multiplied together that equal c, and that add together to equal b. So two numbers that add to be this b value and multiply to be the c value. The b value in this one is 0 because we don't have anything with an x, but we need two numbers that multiply together to be -4. And we can do that with x plus 2 and x minus 2 is equal to 0. So now we have it fully simplified. Now we just need to find what values of x make this equation true, and it's pretty easy to see. We can see that -2 would make this equal to 0 because this would make this value 0, and 0 times this would be 0. And also +2 because it would make this 0, and then 0 times this is 0. So we have -2, so x is equal to -2 and x is equal to +2. So these are our X intercepts. I'll write them under here in ordered pair form. So -2, 0, and then 2, 0. And we've run out of room a little bit, so I'm just going to scroll down to do the Y intercepts. So let me write out the equation again. 9x squared plus 4y squared is equal to 36. And for the Y intercepts, we make x equal to 0 because when something intersects the y-axis again, it has a y value, but the x value is always going to be 0. So we plug in 0 for our x. And that leaves us with 4y squared is equal to 36. Divide both sides by 4. Y squared is equal to 9. Subtract y squared is minus 9 is equal to 0. And again we factor, and this is another very simple one. So two numbers that multiply to be -9 and add to 0, +3 and -3. So y minus 3, y plus 3 is equal to 0. And now we look for all y values that will make this true. So what will make this side equal to 0? There we go, nicer 0. So if we put in positive 3, we're going to get a 0 here, and we're going to get a positive 6 over here, but again, we get a 0, so 0 times 6 is 0. So positive 3 is 1, and then over here, if we put in minus 3, it's going to make this 0 times whatever this is going to be 0. So y is also minus 3. So we have 4 intercepts. We have 2 x-intercepts and 2 y-intercepts. So let me write them all out. So our x-intercepts, again, they were 2, 0, and minus 2, 0. And then our y-intercepts are right over here. 0, 3, and 0, minus 3. And this is our answer. And I have one more that I want to do that is a little bit trickier because of the algebra that's involved. And that one is y is equal to x squared minus 4 over 2x. So let's solve for the y-intercepts first, because that'll be very quick. Because you can kind of just see plugging in right away. So let's find our y-intercepts. So to find our y-intercepts, we need to set x equal to 0. So y is equal to 0 squared minus 4 over 2 times 0. And then anything divided by 0 is 0. So our y-intercept is 0, 0. Now we're going to move on to the x-intercepts, which is going to be a little bit trickier. And you'll see why. It's only algebra, but that's what ends up tripping up everyone in all levels of math. So now we're going to move on to the x-intercepts. So for the x-intercepts, we need to set y equal to 0. So I'm going to do that. 0 is equal to x squared minus 4 over 2x. And here it just becomes a matter of being able to simplify it enough to where we can see the solutions. You just need to simplify it enough to where you can figure out what will make this equation true. And the first thing I can do right away is I can eliminate this minus 2. I can multiply this side by 2 and this side by 2. Remember, what you do to one side, you must do to the other. So 2 times 0 is 0. And then we get x squared minus 4 over just plain x. And we can simplify this right away. Or, well, you can simplify it if you would like further from here, or you could work from here. Let's work it out from here. You only need to simplify it as far as you need to find the answer. So here we need to find all numbers that will make this true. So here a lot of people can see already, like, well, if I put x in as 0, I'm going to get a 0 in the denominator. And that is true. So 0 is an x-intercept. So 0 is one of the solutions. And also, people can see, well, if I get a 0 in the numerator as well, then that will make this true. So I can put in positive 2, because 2 squared is 4. And then 4 minus 4 is 0. So 2 is 1. And also minus 2, because minus 2 squared is 4 as well. And 4 minus 4 is 0, and then that gives us 0. So it doesn't matter what's in the denominator, as long as we have a 0 in the numerator, then it's 0. But if you'd like to simplify this down further, it is possible. We already have our zeros right here. So that would be 0, 0, 2, 0, and minus 2, 0. But if you're not comfortable finding out the solution, I mean, I personally like simplifying it as much as possible. You can simplify it. I mean, this is already simple enough to find the answer, but we can divide both of these terms by x. So let me show you how you would go further to simplify this, because in some equations it will require you to simplify it further. So let me just show you how you would go about doing that. So if we simplified this further, we would get 0 is equal to, we divide both of these terms by x, so we would get x. So these x's so this x cancels out 1x, minus 4 over x. And now the next thing I would do is pull out an x. So let me show you what I mean. So this is some algebra that people may have not done before. So I pull out an x, so it's easy to see. So then I'm left. If I take out an x from this, so basically what I'm doing is finding what numbers times x would give me this. So 1 and 4 over x squared. Now this might be a little bit more difficult than is necessary. This might be a little bit more complicated than, I mean, this is more complicated than is necessary right now, but I'm just showing how you would go about simplifying it further if it was required. So from here it's very simple to see all three of our answers again that we saw from here. It's really, I mean, for this problem it's really a matter of taste. But like I say, in other instances it may not. So let's see how we'd find our zeros from this simplified form. So it's very much like the other problem where we have two different expressions multiplied times each other. So if this is equal to 0, it's going to make this whole thing 0. So 0 is going to be 1, and it is 1. And then for this one here, what would make this expression 0? Well, anything that created a 1 over here. So in order to get a 1, we would need to make this a 2. So 2 squared gives us 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. So that is an answer, and then that's right there. So we got that one as well. And then by the same coin as well, minus 2 squared is also 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. So that was just a little extra to show you how some extra techniques or ideas that you can use to help simplify things. You may not get one that requires you to kind of pull out x's and pull out different things at this level, but eventually later on things like that may be asked of you. So I'm just trying to prepare for that possibility. So for now, as soon as you can see the answer, and to be honest, it is easiest to see all possible answers. So if you notice in this one, there are 3 answers. Sometimes you might have 3 or 4 different things being multiplied together, and when it's in this form, when it's not as simplified, when it's in this form and it's not as simplified as humanly possible, you might actually miss a 0, or you might miss a solution. So for now, they may not ask questions that will require you to go to this level of simplification, but again, I'm just showing you how it would be done.